So here's a warning, essentially, to myself, because I'm pretty sure I'm gonna, well, upset some people that come on the website to watch videos, and some friends, many, in fact, all 4 of them that I have. Because in this 2022 Range Rover Evoque review, I'm essentially going to poo-poo on the segment in which it plays. Yeah, the small premium SUV segment is critical for automakers, premium automakers, obviously, because these vehicles serve as the gateway into the brand. So you buy in for X amount of dollars, and if you're happy with it, then you'll probably graduate to something much bigger, much more expensive, and far more profitable for the automaker. The thing is with these vehicles, save for the badges, right? And in some cases, design, whatever, you're not getting much more than you would in your typical run-of-the-mill compact SUV. I mean, for the price that you pay for something that is premium, you don't get that much more kit than you would in a mid to high trim Hyundai Tucson. And performance? No. Over, say, a CX-5 or a CX-50 from Mazda, you don't get much more performance. And let me tell you that those vehicles with their all-wheel drive systems are actually pretty damn good. I mean, even a CR-V, the driving experience, you don't get anything much greater than that. And you don't get more space or functionality than, say, a Volkswagen Tiguan, which I don't like, but anyway. So what are you paying for? The badge. And I take offense to that, which leads me back to the Range Rover Evoque. And after 5 days and a few hundred kilometers, I can't get into it. And the weird thing is that I once really enjoyed this SUV. Because, yeah, okay, in some cases, you do get specific advantages to buying, well, a Range Rover or Land Rover, such as their fairly impressive all-wheel drive and off-roading capabilities. In fact, my first encounter with this 10, 11 years ago now, wow, I climbed a mountain in an Evoque, and one of the vehicles was a 2-door Evoque. Anyway, point is that, yes, you do get maybe in some cases a little bit more, but say in a Benz GLC or an Audi Q5 or other vehicles like that, you don't. You're just paying way more for that or this or these things. Anyhow, that's not to say that the Evoque is bad. It's just that I'm telling you now, at $65,000 or $67,000 for this, I mean, they have many reasons to exist. Well, here's another video where I go on and on and on, but so I'm going to stop the intro right now, and we're going to do the walk around and then the drive of the 2022 Range Rover Evoque, and maybe try and point out a few things that I just... Anyhow, here we go. Okay, so let's talk styling. Actually, pause the video, go back to my intro shot, the angle. Yes, I know that my iPhone is on wide angle, but is it me, or does the Evoque look really weird, like an egg? And to make matters worse for me, the last time I called an SUV an egg, I think that was a Ford Escape. And I swear to you, now you can come back to the video and you don't need to listen to the words I just said, but I swear to you, the Evoque, it doesn't... visually, it's not evolving the way I think I would have liked it to. I mean, it looks extremely similar to the first generation that was introduced for the 2012 model year, which is usually a good thing, because then if, designs evolve carefully, then that's a good thing. But I don't know, is it me? I mean, are you seeing kind of... The rear end is kind of weird, right? Is it just me? It's kind of too round. There's no bumper. There's no definition in the rear. It's probably just me, because I'm wanting a Range Rover to be a little bit sharper, a little bit more dynamic. But Clearly, Range Rover's design language has evolved, and I have not. I mean, I do like the taillights. I mean, these are kind of cool, very narrow and profiled. These are dumb, as far as I'm concerned, because they're just going to fail and or freeze in place. And when you look, you know, straight on, or not straight on, but you look at the headlights, the LEDs, I mean, they look kind of good. But then when you walk away, it's just weird. Normally I would love these kinds of proportions, but they don't work, especially with the short overhangs. All right, enough of that. Pricing in the US, $46,400 for the base S. Canada, $50,950. If you go to the almost other extreme, the HST, it's $57,000 in the US, $60,800 in Canada. For the base price, you do get 18-inch wheels, LED headlights, power tailgate, leather all over the place, kind of 10-inch display, and so on and so forth. Now, my tester, you might have noticed, has some kind of special things going on. That's because it is a bronze collection, bronze edition model, which explains the bronze accents, which I have to say, they're kind of cool. I really do like, especially the roof. And it contrasts really well with the Carpathian gray, which is an optional color on the model. Once you do, I mean, essentially the bronze edition is based on the SE. So you get 20-inch wheels, you get dual 10-inch displays, a 12.3-inch digital IP, and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of kit involved. But then when you walk up to, and you build this one, essentially, 21s are optional, but they do include the dynamic handling package, which I think I figured out why it's included. It also has the cold climate package with the heated windshield, the Meridian audio system. I mean, you're looking at about $66,000 as it sits right there before you. I don't know. I can't. If I overlook everything I think I know, then, you know, maybe it makes sense, but maybe it doesn't. I mean, this is gimmicky and all that. People love that, but I don't see it working in 2 years in the middle of winter. Okay, so the good thing is power hatch, which is standard, is really fast. I love that. Which reveals 472 liters of trunk space. There is nothing going on under there. That is very tight. I have to admit that that's very small. So as a family SUV, if you do a lot of activities, might not be your best pick. Oh, and by the way, a Velar starts at about $66,000 with the same 2-liter turbocharged engine. Just saying. Snug, yes, but apparently it can be a family vehicle. I'm doing it this week. This kind of makes it look even tighter than it is. The opening isn't actually that bad at the bottom if we walk away and take a look at it. I mean, it's easy enough to get in and out of because, well, this is a Range Rover, so there's a heck of a lot of ground clearance. Okay, I mean, look, because this is a premium Range Rover, and I know I'm being kind of mean to all these small premium SUVs, I mean, this is still very, very classy. I mean, the numerous materials, the cross-stitching surfaces, look how smooth and beautiful that is. I mean, it looks great. It feels nice to the touch. Controls are lovely. Meridian audio system, like I said, was an option. The seats are superb. I mean, the number of adjustments is enormous. Very supportive, plush, comfortable. The leather is beautiful. All things you would expect in a Range Rover. I guess we'll slide in. Start it up. So there's your 12.3 IP, which is included from the SE on, and now your dual 10-inch screen. I guess we can focus on this for the moment. The issue and the non-issues is it's beautiful. I mean, we all have to agree that this layout is gorgeous. It's so premium. It fits beautifully. But you know, the downside is, yes, sir, there's some storage over here, which is nice. But you know, on top, not much. This is cool. Dual armrest. There's a fair amount of room there. But okay, back to this. Okay, so I'm gonna try and work it through this. Actually, I'll work around over the top of the screen. A lot of the stuff is very self-explanatory. The screen actually I've driven many JLR products over the years, and this might be the quickest responding touchscreen display I've ever used. And there's one thing, I mean, again, this looks beautiful, the display, the layouts, but because the font is all the same, there's very little contrasting color and logo. Anyway, I suppose you get used to that. Things kind of get a little bit beautiful, but a little rougher when you get down here. How can I work this? Okay, so this is not so unusual, but this is your temp control, right? Dual zone up here up front. And you push on the wheel, then you can do your heated seats or your cooled seats through the wheel. Same thing for here. Where it kind of gets iffy is that even if you go into climate, there's no fan speed thing going on here. So you have to press on the speed, and then this converts to the fan speed control. That's a lot of steps just to increase the fan speed. Sync auto, it's very simple. Heated seats, you know, if you don't press on that, you can always do that. That's a lot of redundancy. I guess is necessary, but it's, I don't know, it's kind of, it's just needlessly busy as far as I'm concerned. I know this is a boring shot, I apologize. Your drive modes. Eco has become my friend. I'll tell you more about that in a second. This is your default comfort program. You can set dynamic via this button, and because you have the 21s and the dynamic chassis control package, whatnot, you can adjust individually suspension and all of that. So I have it set, as you can see right there. Yeah, stopwatch. I think we just we did see the 4x4. That's very neat stuff. It's always cool. Look, to finish the interior, way too long so far. I mean, visibility isn't that great, but the dashboard is beautiful. The leather, again, the fit finish, heads-up display. The blind spot is massive over here. That's really not cool. Steering wheel is lovely, decent grip. I mean, the spoke is, not the spoke, but the rim is reasonably thin, overly sized spoke. Heated steering wheel, as you would expect. Anyhow, if you're still with me, let's go for a drive. All right. Okay, so when I initially picked up the Range Rover and drove off, I could not believe how smooth the ride was, and that despite the presence of the 21-inch wheels and tires. I immediately said or thought that, wow, this is absolute refinement. This is a Range Rover, and that lasted for about 6 seconds. See, when you get the 21-inch wheels, and this is my guess, you get the dynamic handling package, which includes adaptive dampers, which in most cases are lifesavers. They change, transform, manipulate the driving experience to a point where some vehicles become unrecognizable in the sense that they're designed to do one thing, but because of the adaptive dampers, they can essentially do everything. So my guess is that when you opt for the 21s and you get the package, that's because those wheels are freaking heavy, and the dampers exist or are offered to compensate for the weight and mask it as best as possible. Because at very low speeds, they do, or lowish speeds, they do an okay job of evening out the road surface. But as soon as you hit about 55, 60 kilometers, right now I'm doing a speed limit, which is 70 kilometers an hour, it suddenly becomes harsh, and it gradually becomes worse. Or how can I put it? The dampers become less and less effective at keeping everything comfortable as the speeds increase. That bothers me. That is the main reason. Despite how maybe good looking the 21-inch wheels are, I would stick with the smaller wheels. That's generally the rule when it comes to, as soon as you graduate to larger wheels, it's harsh. It's not supposed to be like that. Yeah, I know this is an off-road vehicle, but this is a modern platform. Everything is new on this, or newish anyway. So the thing is, right, 4-cylinder turbocharged 2-liter engine, which is standard across all Evoques. There are two different outputs, two 46 horsepower and two 96 horsepower. So this is a P250, meaning that it's a 246 horsepower, which comes in at the 5,500 RPM, and it produces a very generous 269 pound-feet of torque from 13 to 4,500 RPM. So that means that this thing will do 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in about 7.6 seconds. So it's spirited, sprightly, but, and again, I'm just in the comfort/normal drive program, and there's a weird thing going on with throttle response where it's dull, and then suddenly it goes from like 22% response to 72% response, and then you're taking off, and that's from a dead stop. So I found, and I've noticed this in some other vehicles, that when you select Eco, whatever, that just dulls throttle response until you really roll into it to get the maximum, power, acceleration, whatever. And that's the best setup. And the good thing is that, well, everything else is in Eco or Comfort or whatever, so the ride quality is as cozy or comfortable as it can be. So far, I have to say the 9-speed automatic transmission has been flawless. And it's, to the point where I forget that there's a transmission working, unless obviously you when you roll onto the accelerator, well then you notice the shifts and all that. How can I keep this brief? Fuel consumption, the real world, I'm just south of 10 liters per 100 kilometers. Most of my driving has been done in the city. Yeah, see, there you go. Eco drive mode is the best way to do it. It's a lot smoother, a lot more gradual, the power buildup. And in dynamic, well, because you can configure it your own way, then it doesn't really matter. The various off-road modes are, well, memory serves, and are impressive, because what I did in late 2011 is climb Whistler Mountain in BC in an Evoque, and there was snow at the top, and we got to the top and we made it. We had lunch, then we climbed back down, and look, that just served to prove that this is, in fact, despite the fact that it is the mini Range Rover, it's still a Range Rover. The thing with the Range Rover Evoque is that 99.99% of the owners have never seen a gravel road, and even less than that 0.01% of owners have never taken this in the sand or in the desert or, off-roading. So it's nice to own a Range Rover, but if you're not going to use a Range Rover for a Range Rover, then why buy a Range Rover? Well, that's a whole other debate. I think that's about it. I don't dislike this thing. I have an issue, as I said at the beginning, with the segment itself. But if I was a betting man, a risk taker, I would get a Genesis GV70. I know that I kind of flip-flop around with the Korean vehicles, but Genesis is just really blowing my mind with everything it does. If anything, once you spec out your GLB or your GLC or your X1, your X3, your Q5, your Q3, why not? Disco Sport, Evoque, Macan, check how close you've become to the Model 1 up. As I said, a Velar starts at about $66,000. Yeah, it won't be as quick because it has the same engine, but it's a Velar as opposed to an Evoque. That's it.